What was that about?
Stretching my face, my eyes and stuff. They get dry.
Well, that's all you in post.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tara the Foodie, and I take the mystery out of cooking for you. In today's episode, I'm going to take you back in time. Back to the 80s and the 90s, aka my childhood. I know, it was a long time ago. Let's not talk about that. I am going to show you a recipe from my childhood, my mom's stuffed cabbage. This was my favorite recipe that she made when I was a kid, and it's still to this day my favorite thing that she cooks. So I sat down with my mom, got the recipe that she got from her mom, and I'm going to show you how to make it today. Let's get cooking. Ooh, that was juicy. Now we're ready to cook. Let's get started making my mother's recipe while we drink, just like she would love. I love you, Mom. Okay, so the first step that we need to do is actually cook the rice. So what you do first is you grab your big sack of rice. You've seen this before if you've watched my earlier videos, and if you haven't, I will put it up here somewhere. I don't know, it's like a stir fry or something, but I use this big sack of rice. This is my favorite rice. I get it at Costco. It's basmati rice. I just feel like it tastes really good. It's got a really good texture. It's light and fluffy. It's not heavy, and it goes with everything. We want to end up with 2 cups of cooked rice. So what I'm thinking is we're gonna cook 1 cup of raw rice, and it will at least make 2 cups of rice, if not more. And if we have a little extra, that's fine. It'll be nice to have in the fridge. And what you wanna do is just scoop out a cup of raw rice and just put it in your pot. You always wanna do a 2-to-1 ratio with your liquid. So we've got 1 cup of water. And then, as I said in my video long ago, always the last cup, you want to pour a little out, then put it in. So you don't quite need 2-to-1, but almost 2-to-1. I'm just going to stir the rice just to kind of get the water in, incorporated with the rice. So now what we're going to do is bring this water to a boil. Put that on high. Once it's to a boil, we'll turn it all the way down to low and put the lid on. While the water is coming to a boil, and I have to make sure I pay attention and listen to make sure when that happens, the next step is we are going to grind our own meat. That's what we like to do in the Tara the Foodie test kitchen is we go ahead and grind our own meat, and that way we know what's in the meat. So we need the mixer. Look at this. Whoa. There she is. Okay, so this is now bubbling. The water is bubbling. So I am turning it all the way down to low, and then I'm gonna put the lid on. And it takes about 15 to 20 minutes, something like that. And basically just the rice just soaks up the water. So in about 15 minutes or so, I will lift the lid, and if all the water's been sucked up, I'm just gonna fluff up the rice and it's done. And that's how you make rice every single time. We have our mixer here, and in my video for Pizza Hut Pan Pizza, I asked you what we should call this mixer, and we got such a response from you. It was pretty awesome, and you guys had a lot of suggestions. I liked a lot of them, so I don't know if I want to pick just one. So today, her name is Scarlett.
Scarlett.
Scarlett is gonna grind the meat. For Mom's stuffed cabbage, we need 2 pounds of ground beef. So I'm gonna go ahead and grind that now. I have here a top round roast. This is 3.5 pounds, so we're gonna have some extra for, I don't know, burgers, late night burgers or something, babe.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just gonna cut this into strips that'll fit down into the hole of this meat grinder. So Juicy Joe had to go up on a ladder so that you can see me while I do this because I am short and I even have my platform flip-flops on still.
Well, this is me, eye level.
Yeah, this is, yeah.
You're like hidden behind.
Hi. 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 before I turn it on, because this is gonna be loud,
It's gonna be loud.
and I'm not gonna talk during it because that would be annoying. So I'm going to just feed all of these pieces of meat down through the meat grinder using the ramrod, or whatever we're calling this. I don't know what it's called. To push the meat down into the grinder.
Meat
and I'm gonna
jammer.
grind all of the, what did you say?
Meat jammer.
Yeah, the meat jammer. So I'm gonna go ahead and grind all of this meat now, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now that our meat is grinded, we're gonna go ahead and weigh out 2 pounds for our recipe.
This would probably be a good spot for you to be like, for you foodies, it's such a great idea to have your own scale to weigh out your drugs and ingredients.
God, yes. Well, you've done it for me. Ooh, 1 pound, 15.9. Oh, a little over. It's a little over, like in the deli. It's a little over, okay?
Oh, of course it is.
It's always okay, so that we can have a piece right there at the shopping cart. Next step, we're going to prep the rest of the ingredients so we can put the mixture together that's gonna be stuffed into Mom's stuffed cabbage. I think it's been about 15 to 20 minutes. It's hard to tell around here. Like, time doesn't exist in this kitchen, so. But I just feel in my bones that the rice is done, so we're going to check it. So I'm gonna lift the lid. Oh yeah. So see how you see no liquid anymore? I'm turning the fire off, and then I'm just gonna take my fork and you just fluff it up, just like that. We'll let it kind of cool a bit because we're gonna have to put it into the mixture, and I'm gonna be using my hands, and I'm gonna burn the shit out of myself. So let's let this cool a little bit. Jeez. So now we are going to chop a small onion, and we need about 1/2 cup's worth for this recipe. If we have a little bit more, I'm not gonna be mad at it because I really like onion, so don't tell Mom. So I'm just gonna go ahead and chop this up now. We are ready to put together the mixture that's gonna go inside these cabbage leaves for Mom's stuffed cabbage. And I have my notes here. It says Mom's stuffed cabbage.
This is a legit family recipe.
Yes, right. This is a legit recipe from my childhood, for sure. My favorite dinner that my mom used to make me. We are going to put together the filling. So what we need to do is we've got our 2 pounds of ground beef in a big bowl, and then we're gonna add everything to this. I think it'll be big enough. We're gonna find out. To this ground beef, we are gonna add the onion that we chopped up. It's supposed to be about 1/2 cup. This is a little more. I'm just gonna put it in. Mom did say that it was okay to add garlic. The original recipe didn't have garlic in it, but you know, back in the day, I feel like they didn't flavor things enough. So Mom took the liberty of adding fresh garlic. She didn't tell me how much, so I want to add 3 big cloves because it's me and I like garlic. You know how I feel about cloves of garlic. If it's not like the size of a freaking golf ball, it's not a clove. So I want it to be big, like almost big enough where I think I do have to cut this in half to put it in my garlic press. And I've got my trusty garlic press here. And all these items that I'm using in this recipe, you can find down below if you click the link to shop my favorite things, this garlic press, the scale that I was using, things like that. I've got links to all of that for you if you want to get some for yourself. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these big cloves in half just to make sure that they fit nicely in my garlic press. And then we're gonna squeeze it into the mixture. We'll just keep going until we're done with all of the pieces of garlic. Whoa, it always does that? I end up with garlic in my hair all the time. If you spot garlic in my hair, comment below.
Oh my gosh, I think I got that.
Did you get some on you at a time? All right, so the next thing we're gonna add is our salt. We wanna have it nice and seasoned. So we're gonna put 2 teaspoons of salt, and I like to use kosher salt, so I'm just measuring 1 teaspoon there. I'm gonna put that in there. And 2 teaspoons. A half a teaspoon of ground pepper.
Woo!
I need a cigarette after that. Okay, so we've done the salt, the pepper. We need some Worcestershire sauce. You say it however you say it. I'll say it however I say it. And it's Worcestershire. And you have to do that with your mouth. You gotta go Worcestershire. 2 teaspoons. I'm gonna measure this. Here's 1. I love Worcestershire sauce. Oh my God, I really said it bad that time. It might be the 3rd beer I had. I love Worcestershire sauce. Crack 2 eggs, pop them in here. Bing.
Right in.
Oh, that one was thin. There. Checking my notes. The rice would be good to put in. We did make the rice and it's not burning hot anymore. So 2 cups of rice.
2 cups of prepared
We're
rice.
going with prepared rice, as Juicy Joe so eloquently put it, and I did not.
Well, now that you can hear me nice and clearly.
Yeah, now you can hear his radio sexual voice. He's just going to talk to you like that all the time, isn't he? He's Juicy Joe. We all love you.
Please like and subscribe.
Yes. So the last ingredient, believe it or not, is a cup of milk. I know. So this is going to be a wet mixture. And my mom assured me that it is supposed to be sort of a loose, wet, meaty rice mixture. But that's what you want. Once we have the mixture wrapped up in the cabbage leaves and then it bakes in the oven for 1.5 hours, everything's going to kind of pull together, but it's not gonna lose moisture and be dry. All right, so let's go ahead and pour the milk over top, Juicy Joe. All slow and sexy like you like. Mm-hmm. And then, take off your jewelry. If you've got jewelry that's gonna get too far in, because we're gonna get down and dirty now into this bowl. If it bothers you, if I put my hands in things, just look away. It's probably gonna sound disgusting. So just take this mixture and mix it up thoroughly. Oh yeah, it's got that like meatloaf smell. Oh, I know how good this is gonna be. I mean, I remember it from my childhood, but I also remember just the last time she made it, and they're just so good. And plus, this is a recipe that is even better the next day, and it freezes beautifully.
What step is this, Tara the Foodie?
I think it's step number 5.
Okay, so we're on step number 5 for this classic cabbage, stuffed cabbage recipe. And this is what we have here, is a head of cabbage. What we're going to do is take this cabbage and we're going to place it in this large pot of boiling water. But before we do that, we're going to have to cut the core out. Pick your knife of choice. I think the chef knife is going to be a little too much to handle. I'm actually going to grab just like a steak knife, and I think it's a little easier to do like a little Halloween stabbing at it. So if we go in here, and obviously we want to be able to work around the core. Oh, my hair breaking.
All right. Oh, there you go.
And then what I'll do here is just get rid of some of these other unsightly ends. And this is really just a steak knife I'm using. It's sharp, very sharp. And you were saying earlier, Tara, that this is something that your stepdad would do, right? Or the
Yeah, so my mom and my stepdad like to make this recipe together, and traditionally with them, this is his part, so I thought this could be your part.
treat it like a cowbell. So we got the so we got the core cut out of this cabbage, and safely we have to lower it into this boiling water. You're going in, and if you listen closely, you'll hear it scream. All we're trying to do with the outermost leaves is just to loosen them up so we can easily peel them off. And once we get those outer leaves off to a point where they're not coming off as easily, we're going to take the cabbage and put it back into the water. And again, just enough time to where those whatever outer leaves that you're pulling at are going to free up. So
About a minute to 2 minutes.
a minute to 2 minutes?
Yeah.
All right, so this cabbage has been in this pot of, not really boiling water, but it's hot enough to blanch it, enough to where those outer leaves of the cabbage get released. So I'm going to carefully pick it up, transfer it over to this cutting board that's on our stovetop, and whew, I got that one big leaf, came off very nicely, and you can see, whew, it is hot, so.
Yeah. Yeah, this is must be why the guy gets to do this part. Hey, fine with me. Got the strong, manly hands.
These are the leaves that we were able to pull off of the cabbage. So we're going to continue to blanch it more, so more leaves would loosen up and be easily pulled off of this cabbage. Boop.
As those are cooking, you can also be prepping your leaves. And what we want to do is I'll grab one leaf and show you. So we'll take it over to our cutting board. And as you can see, it's nice and pliable, but we've got kind of this tough stalk part here in the middle of the leaf. And it also kind of would make it hard to fold and roll your stuffed cabbage up, right? So you want to take your knife and you're going to make like a V cut, kind of where it starts to get thicker, thicker, thicker. You're going to make a cut like that, and then a cut like this. And that way you get that out of there, and now you just have like a wrapper to make your stuffed cabbage. And depending on the size of your leaf will decide how much stuffing you put into each one. So some of your cabbage rolls are going to be bigger than others. It's just the way it's going to go. So I'm recreating, bringing you up to speed, taking you back to the 80s and 90s, into my childhood. Come back with me. Come back with me. Ooh. And I'm sharing with you one of the recipes from my childhood. My favorite thing that my mom used to make for dinner for us is Mom's stuffed cabbage. This is the part where I'm going to stuff them. And I've never done it before, so I'm a little nervous. But, don't you get nervous when you try to make one of your mom's recipes and you try to do it right and you're like, so fingers crossed. I'm gonna grab my first one that I already prepped. First thing, before we start to stuff, is just like when you're making enchiladas or even lasagna, you want to put a little of whatever sauce you're using on the bottom of the pan or on the bottom of your baking dish so that everything doesn't stick, right? So what we're using is tomato juice. So I've got a little over 20 ounces here. If we need a little more, we'll use more, but that's what we have for the recipe. So we are just going to pour a little bit of this into the bottom of the glass dish, just so that it's got something to lay in, and we'll move that around to cover the bottom of the dish. So now I'm gonna get, I don't know, like a big spoon, and I'm just gonna get some of this mixture. So my guess is this is gonna be about enough in this one. We'll see. And I think I'm gonna take these little wings over first and cover it on each side. And then I'm going to just make sure everything's covered and tight. And then I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna roll it over into a roll. I think I did it, babe. There you go. That's what it's supposed to look like. That's exactly what my mom's stuffed cabbage looks like. Just lay it in your dish. So I'm gonna go ahead and make the rest of these stuffed cabbage, as many as I can, until I run out of the meat mixture, and then I'll be right back. We ended up with 10 stuffed cabbage. I think that's pretty much what this recipe is gonna make, because you're always gonna have some large leaves and some smaller leaves. So I think it'll all balance out. So if you wanna use a glass dish for this recipe, looks like it'll work out pretty well for you. Take the remaining tomato juice and pour it over top of your cabbage rolls, making sure that you're getting all of them nice and juicy. The final touch is actually my favorite part of my mom's stuffed cabbage, and it is the sauerkraut that goes on top. So take your tongs and take your sauerkraut, and you just want to put a layer of sauerkraut on the top. If you are using a big roasting pan and making a lot of them, where you have more than one layer of rolls, you want to put some tomato sauce and some sauerkraut on the top of every layer. But when this sauerkraut roasts with this tomato juice and the cabbage and the beef and rice filling, and oh my gosh, it all just kind of like melds together, and it is just an out of this world, really, comforting dish. And it is, it's just so, I can't wait until it's done. So now we're ready to put the tin foil on top. If you have a roaster with a top that can go in the oven, go ahead and use that. The most important thing is that it's really securely sealed. You want that steam to stay in this dish. So make sure it's big enough to seal really nicely all the way around. So now we are ready to put this in a 350-degree oven for about an hour and a half, and then we will take a look and see if these are my mom's stuffed cabbage rolls. So I just took the pan of stuffed cabbage out of the oven, and it's ready to look under the foil cover. So let me just carefully open this up, because you can see the steam is going to be escaping big time. See that? I mean, it's insane. And that's exactly, it's got this orange color to it, right? And it just tastes slow roasted and just so good when you eat it. Yeah. Now that's a piping hot pan of mom's stuffed cabbage. I'm getting a steamed stuffed cabbage facial right now. Well, let's plate a stuffed cabbage up, take a pretty picture of it, and then we get to taste it. Are you excited, Juicy Joe?
Oh, absolutely.
So the final product, my mom's stuffed cabbage. Well, it's my favorite time of every video, time to taste. So it's time to cut one of these open, because I want you to see what the inside looks like. There we go. There it is. Look at that. Look how the hamburger is just perfectly cooked, but still really moist. Got a little sauerkraut on top. It's exactly the same. This is it. This is my mom's stuffed cabbage through and through. It's like sitting at the dinner table as a kid. There's a tanginess to it because of the sauerkraut, but mixed with the acidity and just the flavor, the bright flavor of the tomato. And then the filling is just, it's so flavorful from what was already in it, but then all of the juices and the sauerkraut kind of soaking into it, along with just, you know, the delicious cabbage on the outside. It is a wonderful dish. It's a healthy dish. It's comforting, and it's, you know, it's a taste from my childhood, and I'm so happy to share it with you. I hope that you do make this, and I look forward to sharing more recipes with you from my childhood in the future. I'm Tara the Foodie, taking the mystery out of cooking for you, and I will see you next time.